Hello and welcome back to part 2 of the cushion tutorial. In part 1 we put our piping on with a nice join where we were starting our piping at the bottom of our cushion where we're going to put our zip. So this one is about putting the zip in and making the cushion up. So what you want to do is you want to be able to put your back on, obviously make sure it's in the right direction, line it up, and what you want to do is just machine a little way along from the corner, probably about 3 or 4 centimeters from each corner, and then leave the middle bit open. Okay, so this middle bit is where the zip's going to go, but I just want to machine a little way there and a little way there, and then that gives me my opening for my zip. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to turn it round so that the machine line is showing, because what I want to do is I want to just pinch it in a little bit so I don't have any stitches showing from the other side. So I'm just going to do that now. You don't really need a close-up of this because it's pretty self-explanatory really, 4 sides together. And here we go, just going to reverse that. Oh, the scissors are gone walkabout, so here we go, and then the next side, so just about 3 or 4 centimeters from each end, that's all you want. There we go. Okay, and then just tidy that up a little bit, it's not very tidy. Okay. So then what you want to do is, this is a shop bought or a made up zip, because I wanted it in a colour that was going to match. Actually I could have used cream actually, but anyway, I've got this now. It's longer than I need, so don't worry about that. You just chop the end off and just open it up, and where you've got your piping, what you want to do is turn it round so your piping is facing upwards and your zip is facing downwards, so your little pull is underneath. Okay, and what you're going to do is you're going to lay that zip down beyond where you've stitched it at the end. It's a bit tight on that bit, but that's fine. And then what you do is you have the teeth of your zip sort of halfway up on your piping. So they need to be sort of laying just slightly raised and halfway, if you can imagine that they're just poking up and just sitting about halfway on that piping, then you've got it in the right position. So I'm just going to pop it underneath, and I'm going to machine. I don't know whether you do need to see this. If I think you do, I might pause the video and just bring it closer. I'm going to just start it off. Let me see what I can see. You probably do need to have a look and see what I'm doing. So I'm going to actually just stop the video now and just get you a bit closer. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, so I brought you in a bit closer so you can hopefully see what I'm doing. So you can see that what you want to do is just have those teeth halfway up on your piping, and then get your zipper foot nice and close to that piping so that it pinches it in. So here we go. As I say, they're just laying on the top of the piping. It's about the position you want it. Then as it comes past here, you'll find that it's a bit tight here, but don't worry about it. If it runs off a little bit, it doesn't really matter. As long as you've pinched it onto the main fabric, you're fine. I'll just move that camera a wee bit. Okay, let's just take that bit up. Right, now what you do is you'll close your zip up a little way, and then what you want to do is you want to have your right sides together if you can. Sometimes if you've got a wider zip it doesn't quite work just on this bit, but as long as you pinched it onto, as long as it's actually sewn onto the main fabric, it's fine. So just go a bit further along. Right, now can see I don't pin anything. Quite lazy really. What you want to do, I've got a little line here on my zip, just a little different weave. I'm going to follow that. It's about, I don't know, probably about 3 or 4 mil from the actual zip teeth itself, and that's, I just want a straight line really, and it's just going to miss that zip, so I don't even have to have the needle down and then push that back. There we go, all the way along here. And when you get to here, it's going to be a little bit of a fiddle because it's almost going to overlap, but that's fine because it's beyond where you've stitched the 2 fabrics together, so the zip doesn't need to actually zip up at that point. Right, so that's your zip in. Now you can see I've got miles of it left. I'm just going to cut it off. There we go. Right, and then when you come here, you've got your zip in your cushion. I'm going to turn it around. It's linen, so I don't have to press it. I can finger press it. I just want to open that seam up, and then when I bring it back round, the bit that I've got open, I just want to manipulate it so that it sort of meets the piping, because I'm going to stitch this now. So my seam's open, I can feel it's open, which is good. That's all nicely pressed up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch down here a couple of times. I'm going to sew along, but I've got to make sure I catch that zip. I've got to make sure, let's just show you, oops, just move that round. I've got to make sure that I catch this, because if I don't and I come down here, it's not going to work. So, but I can feel that, I can feel it underneath, and I know how wide that particular zip is. I can sort of guess, if you like, the distance I need. I'm sorry, I think the camera is just moving a little bit. I hope you can see this. I've got to watch what I'm doing, so sometimes it goes off. I apologise about that. Okay, so I'm going to come down, go back, and come down again, and I want, it's about there. Now I can feel under there that that's where I want it to run to. So I'm going to follow that distance all the way down. That's where I've finished my zip. I'll move it round, go backwards and forwards again for a little bit. There we go. Now, this is what you've got. And this is why it's really important when you're putting a zip in, not to sew any of your sides, because you want it flat. You want to be able to get that lapped zip in nicely. And on the back, I've caught it all, so that's fine. It's not going to go anywhere. And when I open it and close it, that's it, which is lovely. So I'm going to keep it open because I'm going to now sew around it. And what I want to do is I want to get a couple of pins. Sorry, do beg your pardon on that. And I'm just going to put a pin in there and a pin in there, and then I'm going to machine it round. I'm going to pause the camera for a moment. I'm going to put you back on the stand because I think it's actually easier for you to see this bit, and then we'll go on to this last bit. Okay, hi, that's better. So you're on the stand now. You're not going to fall anywhere. I am now going to sew round, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it with my piping facing upwards, because then I've got the stitch line that I originally did on my piping towards me, and I know where I'm going to go, and I know that I want to just nip it in just a little bit so that when I turn my cushion the right way out, I don't have any stitching showing. So I'm going to start on the corner where I did the the first little bit before we put our zip in. So I'm going to start a little bit beyond that, and I'm going to come round and go all the way around, and then I'll show it to you when it's done. So here we go. So you want to try and make sure that if nothing else, the corners are really nice and tight, because if you don't, what will happen is that when you turn it the right way out, it'll drop, the back will drop down, and you'll see a bit of stitching. Occasionally you have to go back in and actually just go over that little bit. But I'm really careful on my corners to try and get it a little bit tighter. So here we go. Also, of course, you do need to make sure that your piping stays in the same direction. The last thing you need is to have to unpick it. So that corner, I'm just manipulating it down. Nearly there. What you want to do is come around the corner and then just go off. There we go. That's it. Right. So I'll take my multiple 2 pins out. I told you I didn't pin very much. And then you want to poke your corners out and just see that you actually have covered those stitches up. If you haven't, you can just pop it back underneath and just go over it again. But you want nice corners. That's important. So here we go. Yep, that's good. All 4 corners nicely, stitches nicely covered. And there's your zip. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to pause the video again, stick a cushion pad in it, and I can show you better how the zip looks and how the corners look too once the cushion pad's in, and then that'll be it. Okay, I've got my cushion pad in now, and you can see that my cushion looks nice and square, but it does have slightly rounded corners, and that pad is right into those corners of that cushion pad. There's my zip, so you can see there's a lap there which actually sort of marries up with that piping, and obviously where we joined the piping, it's nice and smooth, so you haven't got any bulk there at all. And that is your cushion pad. I hope it's been of some help to you. That's how I do it anyway. Obviously I've made a few, so I don't pin or tack or do anything. I just do it now. So have a go, see whether the way that I've joined the piping or put the zip in or whatever might be new to you works for you. And if you've got any queries at all, please don't hesitate to get in touch, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.